Alright, I'd like to talk about Urlinsane, and I'm going to try to narrow the scope down to caching. Instead of, originally I made a video introducing Urlinsane, and it was just like it was very long, so I'm going to try to make a series of videos, and each explaining a very small aspect of Urlinsane. So in this case, I'm going to talk about the caching. So Urlinsane, so currently it has one subcommand that you got to type, which is typo. So Urlinsane typo, and then you can do something like the domain that you want. Now, the first time you run this, it's going to create a cache. The backend cache is so that it's to help improve performance. Basically, quite often people want to type in a domain. They look at the results, but then they want to type in the domain. They type in the domain over and over again, with different options, different flags, so they can see the because they're quite often you're trying to protect a single domain, so you're spending hours typosquatting and looking for variations of domains based off of a single domain. So you're gonna make a lot of DNS queries. So caching everything, not just DNS, but being able to cache DNS, being able to cache web, cache whois records, everything. By putting everything through a cache, we can massively improve performance. So I set my cache for like a week, but you can set the TTL option. So for example, so the first time you run this, it will create the directory structure. The directory structure is under your home directory .config and then .url. Although I should probably get rid of the dot. So when you run that the first time, it creates the backend cache, which is it's Badger. It's a key value store. The guys from dgraph, I think, made it. It's like it's like a graph database. So anyway, I'm not gonna go through all of this. So in the realm of the caching and file system, basically everything can get cached, so that you can run commands. I can run commands over again, and so the one thing that's not get cached is domain variations don't get cached. Only the domain, only the variant gets cached. But when you type in yeah. So it's not like generating fake domains or similar looking domains. That part is not cached. What's cached is the retrieval of information. So, options for caching and performance. So we have. All right. So. That's strange. It doesn't. That might help. Or not. Oh, it's telling me. Alright, so the options for so there's is the main options, which is the algorithms, collectors, which collect data, keyboards, layouts, and language models. But the outputs for in performance, there's a TTL flag, and that's the duration of the of how long. Well, so it's set for each record. So every time you put in a new information, that particular record has a TTL attached to it. So it's not the TTL is not global for like across everything in the same way. It's every single individual key that's put in has its own TTL. So let's oh, so there's also some interesting options. Like the collectors. So the collectors have a web and then have an image option. So part of this caching and file system is that I'm dumping all sorts of. So in the future we're going to be able to crawl and scrape domains and dump their contents and har files and all sorts of juicy stuff into their individual files. So let me demo that. Well, so we can do that now. It's just that the scraping engine's being worked on. But basic stuff we can do, like with the, what you see here. So, for example, if we use the collector and we do IP address, and then we do a web collector, and then we do algorithm for CO, which is like character omission or something. It's short. That's why I picked it. When we did that, a domain folder was created, and each of these was created a folder. In it is a file, and that file basically is the HTML contents of that first page that we pulled. So if we do this for we'll see more things filed. So we could just kind of go all out and not limit it and just have it, do it on the 6,000, whatever, 8,000, whatever the hell the list is. So as you can see, every domain here has a cursor. Every domain basically creates its own folder. And whenever we go through the data collection process, we dump their contents into that particular folder. So on top of having a cache for the data, like a generalized key value store for caching, we also have data dumps of the files. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to add a command later on to be able to do analysis. I wanted to be able to say, okay, I've ran my scan. Now I want to be able to compare two domains, and I want you to pull up all the like extreme details. So one of the things that on the terminal, you can only show so much, but in behind the scenes, there's an enormous amount of data that you can collect. So I want to be able to dump that data into folders and then be able to compare two domains. Have a dedicated script, look through, do a diff, check, do a vector space modeling comparison, do extract NLP topics using the LEA algorithm, like do a much more thorough analysis. Also, whenever I do like when I spin up the headless browser to do the web crawling, I want to be able to collect har file, which is basically it's kind of like a JSON capture of the bidirectional traffic. That's huge, because with that I'm able to analyze, the traffic on the what's being run, what's being called, and so on. So being able to dump things like that into these files will allow us to then compare domains later on, in a much easier way. So all of this is part of like the backend caching and storage for Urlinsane. But what I love about this thing is that every time it's just so much faster when things are cached. You can sift through this thing really fast, which is kind of cool. So that concludes that particular aspect of things, the caching. And this folder is created automatically every time. So if you delete the folder, it's no big deal.